I've been doing that and I didn't put mics on. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay.
As you know, it was reported that there was some clearing. I went by, investigated the clearing, and in fact, yes, they cleared most of the understory at, I think it was 226 primarily. There's a detention basin, I think, on 222, in which I would say the clearing was primarily maintenance in that case, around that basin. The respondent is here this evening. I've spoken to them on the phone, and I'll let them speak as far as what's going to go forward in terms of correction. We did talk about mitigating it, restoring it, probably taking the pile of wood chips there. Might be able to spread them for now, and then depending on what they decide to do with the future development of the property, encouraged Mr. Monaco to consider redeveloping the existing site. The building has been vacant for quite some time, so it'd be great in terms of our tax rolls if we could see something else, maybe redevelop the site. Mr. Monaco.
Hi, good evening to the commission. My name is Mike Monaco. Thanks for welcoming me into the town. Unfortunately, this is the way you guys get to meet me, but all I was really doing was trying to clean up some debris, and there was a dilapidated shed that was there that had a bunch of graffiti in it, and I knew people were kind of frequenting the backyard, so to say. So we had some fencing and barbed wire and stuff like that that I was cleaning up. There is a pile of chips there. I would like to just spread those and plant some seed and kind of clean everything up and make it safe is really what we're just getting at. As for building, there was no intention what we're doing right now to build anything. It was more or less just cleaning and trying to get that retention pond just kind of cleaned up with all the debris around it. Would like to build something down the road in the future and get rid of that building, but that's not really what we're going for at this point.
Okay.
So, any questions?
I haven't seen the property or the clearing, so not really.
Okay. If you drive by slow enough, you can just look over and actually observe most of it. It's without having been by, prior to the clearing, you can just see that the ground has been disturbed. So I think the immediate concern is stabilizing those soils, and I think the wood chip that's on site is probably sufficient. It's a pretty large pile to do that. I think you'll get about an inch or at least 2 inches of cover probably with it.
Were the wood chips brought in recently?
No, they're from the material that they ground up.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I believe I told the kid in the store, I just leave the wood chips for now, and then Mike contacted me and we'll figure it out as we move forward. But if all they're going to do is plant seed and wood chip it, again, I think, oh boy, sorry. The question is, to what extent was the understory removed, and do plantings need to go back in, or do they need to provide any type of vegetative buffer along the stream? Might be something that we should probably go take a look at and see what extent that they cleared into it. They did maintain the tree canopy over the stream, so that's the good news. So we'll have shade in the spring and summer. I can put it on a site walk agenda, or we can walk it if you like. I think I don't really foresee a whole lot of activity occurring between now and the spring in terms of planting, but they certainly can spread the wood chip and just stabilize the area for now, and then probably in late April seed it.
Correct.
And that would be my recommendation if they're not proposing any site development at this time.
And how close was the clearing to the stream?
I have to defer to Mike here. I'd have to go out and actually take a look at it and maybe
Is it
measure it, tape it off.
There's concern about
It's within the 300.
no, I understand that, but is there concern of runoff from the spring potentially getting into the should we really push to have those wood chips spread sooner than later?
I would, yeah, with any rain event. It does flatten out there, so I think there's a sufficient amount of. It's very similar to the Soapy Noble site. It's only a few, parcels down.
If anything, it's flatter.
Yeah, it's a little flatter, a little more gentle grade in the back. I would say from the roadside, though, there is because of the structure.
There is a drop.
But otherwise, it's relatively flat out there. I think they spread it within the next week or two, any future rain events would be mitigated.
Okay.
I don't believe that there's been an issue out there. When I did go out there on site, I suspect that it could have rained prior, but it didn't look like anything was washing into the river.
Mhm.
So that was a good sign. So I felt confident, at least with the time between the last meeting, this one, and having observed the site, that we weren't going to have future issues unless we had a 100-year storm. So
Okay.
Didn't we have one of those like 2 nights ago?
that was a 100-year storm. Got a few inches of rain, but
A lot of wind.
a lot of wind.
Yeah. Well, as the only major car dealer in East Lyme, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been great so far. So we're happy to be here.
So I guess with that, the order would stand until the site was stabilized and the matter corrected. So probably somewhere after April, we would be able to release the order.
Sure. Yeah, I'd say the best reference is we just went in line with the back parking lot of Ileano's next door to us, so we're not any further back than that. And there is a pile of chips, but I have a machine there I can spread it myself and get that handled in the next week. I just didn't really want to disturb anything until the spring, then we could spread some seed. So.
Okay.
Sounds reasonable.
Mhm.
Do we need to move on something?
No, you would. I mean, you could just affirm. You can affirm the order. Basically, it's taking no action and tabling it to the next scheduled meeting for further discussion. Allow it to stand.
I'd like to make the motion, we don't take any action until Mr. Monaco's taking care of business. Take a look at it in April, we'll revisit that.
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
I said that we will motion to take no action until April's meeting, and we'll just revisit it, see what's happened.
Can we add to the site walk schedule for
Yeah.
next month?
We'll see if we have-
No pressure.
Be happy.
And I'll second that.
We can look at all your cars while we're there.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Do I need to be at the next meeting, or?
So I would come to the next April meeting, and then we'll do a site walk on the Saturday prior to that at 9 a.m. We'll be at your site. You can be there. You don't have to be there.
What's that date? I can check.
Saturday the 1st.
Saturday the 1st, fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you for attending too.
Yeah, sure.
We'd have been lonely without you.
Somebody's got to be the speaker.
You don't have to stay.
You don't have to stay there, no.
Yeah, I'd stay if you want something.
No.
I don't know.
Structure, I'm involved in a lot.
All right, so next we have the acceptance of the minutes from February 7th, 2023. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes of February 7th, 2023?
I move that we accept the minutes from February 23rd, or February
February
3rd.
7th.
7th, that's right, 7th, sorry. Yeah.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on to you, Anne. Next officio report, please.
Ooh, she's got a lot of paper in her hand tonight.
Been busy this past month. Okay, so the main issue that we've been dealing with many meetings is the proposed budget for 23-24. So you may already know, but there's a proposed increase of 1.14 million over the current budget for the town budget. So that would go from 20.5 million to 21.6 million. For the Board of Ed, there's an increase, proposed increase of 4.8 million, which would go from 54.1 million up to 58.9 million. There's a combined proposed budget increase of 8.8%. And this is what will go to the Board of Finance. Now, the Board of Selectmen, what we do is we review all the town departments, and we've done that. And then on March 13th, the Board of Ed will present to the Board of Selectmen, and we can give recommendations, but we don't really have any authority. We just have to kind of rubber stamp it and send it to the Board of Finance. And the Board of Finance has the ability to make any changes they want to the town budget specifically, where with the Board of Ed, they can just say, you know, decrease it by such and such an amount, but they can't say exactly what it's for. So that's what we basically have been dealing with for the past month. So I don't know if you guys have any questions. I'd be happy to answer anything if you do.
So Don and I were just talking a little bit before the meeting about the construction and housing and the increased price of some housing in East Lyme. Does that figure into all of this somehow?
Is this housing that's being built or housing that's already?
It's both. Existing homes that went from selling for $600,000 to selling for $1.4 million, and it's new homes that are being constructed.
Well, new homes, and that adds to the grand list. So that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, the difference between, say, East Lyme and, say, like a Waterford is, Waterford has a lot of commercial businesses where we don't have as much. So that's, the difference on the grand list. But I think there has been an increase on the grand list this year. I'm not sure the exact amount, though. So once the Board of Finance gets a hold of this, and they'll start, I think, at the end of March, beginning of April, then they hear all the presentations from the departments, like the Board of Selectmen did, and then they also have the presentation for the Board of Ed, and then they go through deliberations. And then they determine, what they want to do, because they have to kind of balance. It's a balancing act, because I was on the Board of Finance for a few years. So do you take money from the general fund? Do you increase taxes? And do you decrease the budget to the Board of Ed and the town? So there's kind of a balancing act between those three things. It also depends upon what happens with the grand list and the other factors, like the debt service, and there's a bunch of different factors that the finance people kind of have to do. That's kind of...
I have a question.
Sure.
So in this budget, I don't know if this is like the whole town budget for everything. One thing that I've mentioned a lot here is personnel-wise, to follow up on everything that we discuss. In this budget, are they, looking at employee status?
So in the budget that I proposed to Kevin Seary, our first selectman, I had requested $30,000 in addition to the $10,000 that was budgeted previously for a part-time position. I also budgeted in the planning commission or planning department's budget another $30,000, hopefully making a $60,000 position. Kevin proposed that be submitted at $15,000 for each department. So there's
which is a total of 30,000.
Total of 30.
That was.
So that is more than what we have this year. So if the budget gets approved, I am happy, and at least that will cover hours. We did have Sam Geary and Allison Christensen working for us. Allison is continuing to work for us remotely at 5 hours a week. Sam left us Friday to a bigger and better job, I guess, up in Boston. So
Was that unexpected?
Was it? No, it was expected. He
Yeah.
told us
He was good.
He told us the beginning of the month, or beginning of last month, and we kind of knew it was coming.
Okay.
And then, as things solidified, he had to find housing and whatnot.
But the Board of Finance has final say on everything, basically, for the town. And then for the Board of Ed, they can only decrease the budget. They don't get to choose what gets actually changed or decreased or.
Okay.
Good.
We have no raise this year, Sam.
So hopefully the Board of Finance will accept the budget as is. If they don't, obviously, then.
Well, then it goes to referendum, and
Okay.
and people get to vote on it.
We've had in the past where the selectman says, okay, here's what the Board of Finance did, show me where to take the money from, and he'll usually let us department heads try to figure out where to cut versus being told where to cut. So.
And that works out much better. Yeah, it does, when the department heads can kind of say, okay, I have a little more, I can cut here or there,
We know that.
versus the first selectman or Board of Selectmen saying, we're cutting this on you. Because the department heads, like Gary, he knows his own department.
The expenses that we know we have to, we must expend
Mm.
at a minimum to function, those are the ones that we'll preserve, and to the extent that we can, we'll preserve the whole thing. That's what I'm trying to do.
And there's been like increases, as everybody knows, heating, utilities, I mean, there's just so many different increases, inflation, just supply you know,
Insurance.
demand issues, insurance, it's just, yeah. So it's a very difficult year, budget-wise, unfortunately. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Okay. Good luck.
Thanks.
All right, we have no new business, no pending applications. So our old business, the inland wetlands and watercourse regulations, proposed draft revisions.
Yes, this has been on the agenda for a while, so I
Yeah.
figured we'll just have the discussion here. I know, Sam, we were trying to get him to meet with Greg and yourself. What we have here are two iterations. We have an iteration from 2022 that I had started putting together in conjunction with a small subcommittee that the agency had formed. The other iteration is the one changes that Sam had worked on, again, under my instruction in terms of trying to I don't want to say streamline, but clarify the submittal requirements for applications. So my proposal will be kind of merge the two of these documents together into one. It was just a miscommunication between Sam and I as which document to edit in.
Yeah, so to clarify, so this one in red, that was yours,
That was
right? 'Cause I remember
correct.
seeing this before, and then, so Sam did
Those
this.
changes there.
Okay. And what, did he use the 2008 original document?
2011 is what he used, I think. Is that
Or did he did yours and
He did not.
eliminated the track changes?
he did not use mine.
Okay, because this says
Use this one.
approved 2008 and then revised 2011, 2020, and 2021.
So he would have used from 2008, but it was revised in 2021. So I think that's the document he used because his has the 300 feet still in it. And I think
Oh,
I
that's
think
the
mine does.
revision that, okay.
I don't know that mine did. I think my iteration came prior to that.
Oh, because one was the 300 feet, one was the signage, so those are the two revisions.
Correct. That are already in Sam's iteration.
it,
We want to
okay.
keep those.
Okay,
On the back page, you'll see the revision, the very last page. That's got
oh, okay.
the revision. So
Oh, yeah.
below that would be any revisions we adopt thereafter.
And he didn't do like a track changes,
He did on his document.
did he?
Yes. Did it print? It should have printed.
Oh, I see.
It was one iteration. The
Okay.
first iteration I emailed out, it did not track the changes. My apologies. We posted today online the tracked changed version. So you would have that.
Okay, I see.
Okay, so to be clear, this is your version.
Yes,
This is a version that Sam did
correct.
that does not have track changes in it.
No, it does, there's
It
just only a
does.
few changes.
There's only a few, so
Oh.
I'm suggesting I take those few and incorporate them into the
Okay.
other document. The significant change with the document that was previously drafted breaks the
Oh, yeah,
wetland
okay.
permit into three different categories of significant, intermediate, and minor activities based on different thresholds of those activities. Essentially, it clarifies for the agent what activities they can approve, anything that would be classified as a minor activity, where intermediate and significant activities would come before the commission. So I think that would help also give the developers, builders, homeowners more clarity as far as, am I going to the commission or am I going to the administrative approval? The other thing I also asked Sam to do was to take a look at our fees. They haven't been updated in almost 10 years. I think.
Really?
Yeah, it's been a while. Surprisingly, they're pretty competitive. He did indicate
Really?
that they may be slightly the highest in southeastern Connecticut for wetland fees alone.
Yeah.
That being said, one deficiency he found was on Schedule A, which is if we disturb up to 1,000 square, I think it's 1,000 square feet of disturbance, there's no additional fee. Beyond that, from 1,000 to 5,000 and so forth, there's additional fees. So he saw in other towns a sliding scale for that level of disturbance. So you could potentially pick up a few dollars if you had a sliding scale for those activities that normally would just be paying a base fee. We also, though, with those activities, we also charge a $100 monitoring fee. So that kind of covers that. But when you, as far as my time to review the permit and going out maybe once or twice to check on the activity, provided it doesn't, a deck doesn't take 3 years, that should be sufficient for now. So I think in terms of the fees, we can take a look and make a decision if that's something we really want to tackle. But they do seem to be competitive, so.
That's interesting that no one challenged that 10 years ago.
And we just start taking Bitcoin? Is that what you're
I don't know how that would work.
The federal government doesn't have any guidelines on this stuff?
Fees?
Yeah.
No, the
No,
town
it's
set
all
them.
local.
Yeah.
So from here, then, we should take this and go home, and the next time we meet, we should be prepared to say, yeah, that's cool, let's just merge them, or I don't like this part, or I don't like that part, or whatever.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I mean, in the meantime, I can incorporate Sam's changes into the one document and really make it, format it. And then I can actually send that back out to the commission probably within a week. And
Yeah, if you could do that.
we can all work from that document versus the two. And yeah, at the next meeting, if you want to let me know what changes you'd like to keep, what you'd want to modify, change, I'm more than happy to do that. Feel free to look at other towns and see what they're doing. There is, this commission is not required to take any training under the statutes because I believe it's Connecticut DEP offers the commissioner's training program. However, our Planning and Zoning Commission, based on some recent legislation, they're required now to do training annually, and it's got to get tracked. So I think they have to do like 2 or 3 hours a year on land use type training. So they're going to be attending the Connecticut Bar Association's Land Use Law Seminar this Saturday, that'll be actually a good thing for the town with training. But I don't know if you can check it out. I think you still can register. You just may not be able to get the big book that they send out. But it's a pretty extensive day. It's all day. It's
That was the
9
thing
to
we
4.
did?
Yeah, we did that
Yeah, we did that
2 years ago, was it?
a year ago? 2 years ago, yeah, it was COVID.
Yeah.
We were all, it
We're
was
all
a
on
Saturday.
Zoom.
Yes, it was Saturday. So some of you may
Sent
have
the
attended.
big
I
book.
totally,
Yeah.
yeah, I still have the book.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it's been updated with new case law.
Okay, probably, yeah.
But that's happening this Saturday, just kind of as an aside. So, yeah, I'll be happy to make changes.
Like 8 hours a day.
Yeah, yeah,
And you went to the meetings.
yep. So, when you describe the minor regulated activities, intermediate, significant, I know we've talked in the past about, pools, sheds. Like, do we want to add that verbiage somewhere?
You certainly can. I would be probably help clarify if that's what you're defining a minor.
Yeah, because we discussed that a lot, but it doesn't actually spell that out anywhere. And I think that's a nice, clear way of describing it. Minor would be the pools, sheds, decks.
Level.
So the definition that I provide there means those activities which would result in no greater than a minimal impact on any wetland or water course. And the following shall apply. No activity should be considered minor regulated activity unless it occurs solely within the regulated area, exclusive of a wetland or water course, and that no septic installation or activity requiring the deposition or removal of more than 100 cubic yards of material shall be considered a minor regulated activity. And so maybe we could add a C. Or I could, it's more of an example, so I could.
Yeah.
I could put after the first sentence there, before additionally, and then in parentheses, put i.e. decks, sheds, pools, cabanas, gazebos, small appurtenances, ancillary to single-family dwellings and other commercials, like structures or ancillary to structures. I can come up with some language
Okay.
like
yeah.
that. That would be kind of all-encompassing regardless of the use. And reasonable, I guess, to permit for minor regulated activities.
Yeah, I think to clarify, I think that would be good. Because I know we've also talked about potentially putting on a square footage as we get into like, you know, the intermediate or significant. You know, if there's a dwelling being built that's more than 3,000 square feet, would that be something that we should look at? Or is that being too specific?
Well, that's where I came up with 100 cubic yards of material. I would maybe.
Is that based on like foundations?
Right.
Okay.
I think I have like 100 cubic yards. That's probably like 3 dump trucks, maybe 4. So once you get beyond that, I mean, it's a lot of. I think it's a significant amount of material.
Right.
We did indicate operations over 100 cubic yards being intermediate versus we gotta look at that.
No, intermediate is less than 100
Yeah.
cubic yards. And minor's more than, I think those are switched, right?
Yes. Yeah,
1B and 2A.
more correct.
Okay.
And then significant is more than 100 cubic yards. You could probably do a square footage of impervious area. That might be appropriate.
Yeah.
Or more appropriate
Mhm.
versus just, if you say 3,000, if I have a
Yeah,
2-story home, that's just,
Right.
you know, depending on how I divide that square footage up. But if you do impervious area,
Yeah, I like that.
they, I know for, under the subdivision regulations, they have to give us that number. We did have a previous commissions, we had a member who always asked what that number was, and mainly because we were trying to track the amount of new impervious surface within the watershed.
Because it
As-
can't be more than,
Once we know it hits 10%, we see
10%.
degradation in water quality as a
Yep.
whole. Right. So I think that might not be a bad idea, is use the impervious.
yeah, I think that would be great, actually. Well, and it also could potentially encourage builders to build like up instead of out.
Well, so what,
You know.
what permeable surface, like where it doesn't, like, you know, she's talking about pavers and stuff.
Couldn't hear. I didn't hear you, Don.
Phyllis was always talking about pavers, that, you know, permeable.
Pavers,
Yeah,
yes.
that kind of thing.
Right, that would might help them bring their percentage down and
Mhm.
try alternative, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you know, I guess I have to do some research too, if other town regulations actually quantify that somehow.
I don't know if they do, I haven't seen
Yeah.
anything like that. But I can reach out to the listserv and see if anybody's got anything like that in their regs.
Okay. Do we define a vernal pool in here? Sorry, you were gonna say something else before I went there.
That was gonna be my next,
12.
we do define the word vernal, which means appearing in and occurring in the spring, and vernal pool, which is page 12. It means a seasonal or permanent water course in a defined depression or basin that lacks a fish population, supports,
Or is capable.
there's a little typo there,
Mhm.
or is capable of supporting breeding development of amphibian or invertebrate species recognized as obligate to such water course. I think that is the dictionary definition by Deep. With that, in the definitions, other towns, I do know they have regulations specific to vernal pools. So
I
that's
know Old Lyme
something-
does.
So that's something you could consider incorporating. I did not put any, it's been a while since I looked at these. I'll have to go back and see, I think we define it, but I don't know that we put any specific requirements around it.
I remember seeing these a while back. I don't think there was anything.
I think we.
It just falls under the water course category.
Correct. So by defining it, we're identifying it as a water course and regulating it accordingly. I think the difference for most vernal pools, though, is there's data that supports that the amphibians use an area up to 500 feet from them. So, you know, I think other communities have regulated that 500 foot around vernal pools.
Which of course is difficult to define, given that it's a vernal pool. 'Cause
Correct.
It's not there sometimes.
It's not there sometimes, yes. And you would
Yeah,
most
you
likely
have
need
to-
a wetland scientist to help you identify it if you didn't see it in the
In
spring.
the spring,
And that's only if it's there.
not in July.
Because it may not be there one
True,
year and it
that's
could be
true.
gone the next, and, yeah, it's difficult.
And then, so I know we've talked about applications being complete or incomplete. Could we incorporate in here, similar to that checklist that the Soapy Noble, they had that checklist for, that they
The privacy is-
included, yeah. Oh, no, like, that they included everything as part of the application?
Oh, right, in the beginning.
Like, in the regulations, it would be easier to put together an actual checklist for applications being complete or incomplete. You don't
Okay.
have it to be, is it a certain scale? Is it, have you signed the application? And actually have a checklist in this?
And if it doesn't meet the checklist, it's incomplete.
Yeah,
No surprise.
Yeah, we can.
because that would make your job much easier. And then it's clear what we need, a
Absolutely.
signed application.
I would say in
for one.
addition to that, in the near future, hopefully, the land use department will be moving to online software to manage our permit database. That will cover both inland wetland zoning and building. The benefit there, we will be able to have online submission of applications, meaning we can't get and accept the application unless you submit all the information. So we can actually set it up so it just kicks it back to the applicant unless they have it right, type of a thing. So that I'm looking forward to. I'm not certain when that will go forward. We evaluated 5 different vendors. We found one from Louisiana, happened to be from the South Central Council of Governments down there, so it's a government agency. It's not a private for-profit vendor, so the cost is much more reasonable. And the fact that a government agency in the land use business developed it, it looks like it's a pretty powerful tool. And of all the vendors we looked at, it's the one that we agreed on, regardless of the price. So to have 5, 6 people agree on one thing at one time, pretty impressive. That being said, we wouldn't have to go out to an RFP either. With the intergovernment agency agreements, works out well. So that said, the building official, they're looking at their fees. What he's indicated is statutorily they can collect fees to cover the cost of that software type of a thing. So we're looking at how to manage the budget, get that implemented, which would also incorporate the digitizing of all of our files, building files downstairs, including the wetland files, meaning everything becomes searchable online, saves staff time. It's a big undertaking, but and a small fortune, but nothing. I mean, I think it's just time that the town moves forward and does that, and it's going to, I think, save dollars in the long run. So we're looking forward to getting that implemented as soon as possible. So I think that will address some of the incomplete application issues. But until that point, yeah, I think we need something in our regs that specifies it. And that can stay there even once we implement a system like that.
Right.
So,
And you can use that to help when you actually develop the system, what you need.
absolutely. We basically give that
Yeah.
the permit to the software vendor, and they develop the permit that way. So yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. All right, does anyone have any questions or anything scanning through real quick that you want to bring up before we do our homework to discuss next meeting? Everybody good? All right.
The only thing I would like to check on is statutorily the 10 days that we have to hold the show cause hearing.
Yeah,
If that could be at all more flexible,
yeah, that would be
because
good.
otherwise it's counterintuitive to enforcement, because we're timing our enforcement with each regular meeting, trying to save commissioners a night out. I know you're all volunteers, so at the same time, I'm happy to come back here. Either way, I get paid type of a thing. So, again, but if I don't have to come back here, that's advantageous to myself. So, yeah, I'd like to be able to modify that somehow so that I could just issue the order, and we didn't have, if it was 20 days before the next meeting, we could have just still hold the show cause hearing, not have an applicant come back and say, you've denied me my due process, which we've had in the past. So, I'll take a look at that
So
statute.
would you also be able to take a look at the 15 days for the public hearing? Or are we stuck with that?
We're stuck with that. That is
I
statutory.
wish it could be between meetings and not just 15 days.
The item has to remain on the agenda for 15 days.
Well, no, so once an application is submitted, the public has 15 days to submit the,
Request for a public meeting.
Request for a public hearing.
Yeah. Can that be extended?
I don't believe so.
No.
That's statutory.
Okay.
As well as the publication, the legal notice publication requirements, those are statutory.
I don't believe we've had, in the time that I've been on the committee at least, I don't think that we've had somebody who wasn't on the committee request a public hearing.
There was a couple of months ago where people had come in to talk, and we couldn't listen to them because they missed the public hearing opportunity.
Oh, we
Remember
closed
that?
it. Yep.
And they had to sit here and we couldn't
Let them speak.
let them speak.
Was that the car wash or was that the?
No,
It was before. What was before? Was that the Citgo?
no, it
Oh.
was something else.
Maybe,
I don't think it was the Citgo, it was,
I thought it was the car wash guys. The car wash guys were here and they were ready to rebut some of the comments that were made during the actual.
We told them no.
And we told them they couldn't talk
Yeah.
because it was over.
Was it them?
mm-mm.
That's the only one I remember.
No, it was, it was like it was for,
You're much younger than I am. I'm sure you're right. Whatever it is. I can't remember anymore.
I'm always ready.
There you
No,
go.
I'm just kidding. No, it was like 4 or 5 months ago, and there were people complaining about,
Well, it had to be the Sitco thing. It had to be
I want to
the.
say, no, it wasn't the Citgo. I want to say it was the property across from where the transfer station is. Was it
Roxbury
that?
Road? The Weiss piece?
Yeah, was it that?
That
Or-
was a subdivision.
Yeah.
No, was it on Bridebrook? Was it one of the Bridebrook properties?
That was a long time ago.
I know, I can't remember, but I just remember these people coming in and like, sorry, we can't.
Well, there was the property up north. Remember, there was the one young lady who came in with a complaint and said the people who owned it were revising the river or something.
Oh, that was on Grassy Hill.
Yeah, Grassy
Lindsay
Hill.
not Lindsay Chester. I forget the name.
Rush, Lindsay
Rush.
Rush.
Lindsay Rush.
No, it wasn't her. It was about an application. We
Could have
just
been
couldn't-
Bridebrook, but we denied that. I don't know if anybody showed. We had a public hearing. I don't know if anybody.
Yeah, it was something
didn't
that
get to
we
speak.
couldn't have a,
It could have just been a regular meeting agenda item. No public hearing was occurring, and we just couldn't let them speak.
it'll come to me probably at like 2 a.m. today.
Anyhow,
But
Don't
anyway,
call
the
us, yeah.
15 days, is just, I wish it was a little bit longer, but.
Yeah, it's hard to, I mean, if you think about an application being submitted, the public has no notice of that until
Right.
we publish a legal notice or the agenda gets posted. And the agenda gets posted a week prior at best.
So if someone has an application that they
They've already
bring
lost a
forth
week.
tomorrow, then unless someone reads the newspaper, they're not gonna know about it, and before our next meeting, it will be on the agenda, and by then it's too late to request a public hearing.
No, the item remains on the agenda for 15 days. So that's how the public knows. My apologies. That's their window to appeal. So the date of receipt, the day it comes into my office, the 15-day clock does not start ticking. It starts ticking at the next regular scheduled meeting of the commission. That's when the commission receives the application, or 30 days thereafter, 35 days thereafter, whichever comes first. So if the commission
So
meets,
if you get an application tomorrow, our next meeting
it's when you'll
starts the
receive it.
clock of the 15 days where someone can request by And they get signatures.
Petition.
for it. Petition, the
Yep.
15 days.
Correct. And,
Oh.
and then that same clock starts, we have a 65-day window to schedule a public hearing if it
Right.
requires one.
Mm-hmm.
Or we just get 65 days to render a decision. So in that first 15 days, we see what happens. And then we can either schedule a public hearing.
I always thought it was 15 days from receipt of the application, not from when the commission receives the application.
No. The date, just so to clarify, the date of receipt is the date of the receipt the commission receives it. The date of submission is the day I receive it.
Okay.
Think of it that way.
Okay.
The day it's submitted is the day I receive it, staff, and then the commission actually receives it. And that's the day that really matters. Everything's timed off of that day.
And just to clarify, it's the day of our meeting, not the day that the materials are posted online.
Correct.
Got it.
It's the day of the meeting.
Okay. All right, well, that makes me feel a little bit better.
So if we do, they actually technically pick up a week. If the agenda gets posted a week prior.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. All right, so now with all that being said, let's see, we need to, do we need to make a motion to table this for,
Yeah, I think you just direct me. You don't think you need a motion, just direct me to
okay,
place it
we'll
on the next
table
agenda
this,
for discussion.
place it, yes, please. And if you could send everyone an email with the updated
Version,
combined,
yep.
yeah, that'd be great, so that we're all working to the same copy, not multiple ones. Perfect. With a little, I'd like Phyllis to take a look too, since she's missing the discussion, obviously.
Will the updated version get posted with the meeting materials for this meeting or no?
Not for this meeting.
Okay.
So the next meeting, I'll have it posted for the next meeting.
Mhm.
I'll send it out to the commission so you can start reviewing it prior to then.
Okay.
And as soon as, I can even post it online as under materials for the next meeting. Once I send it to you, I'll do that the same day. That's easy enough. However you'll have an email and you'll have it on the web.
And no email discussions,
Mhm.
Correct.
we'll discuss at the next meeting. Okay. All right, so moving on to reports, I have nothing for the chairman's report. So that goes to you.
As permits, we're just continuing to monitor sites that are under construction on permits that have already been issued. But now that Sam's left, that'll be a little more difficult, but we'll figure it out. Enforcement, as you know, you've got the one item before you. I drove past something on Route 1 today. It looked like there was some clearing behind one of the residential houses, so I'll have to take a look at that. But aside from that, I'm not aware of anything in violation currently, besides Monica Ford. But that's going to be resolved shortly. So if there's anything that you guys see, let me know. That's all I have.
Any new permits or anything?
I have a pool permit for 171 Whistletown Road. I haven't issued that or reviewed it as of yet. I still need to take a look at it. It's just the only permit pending on my desk as of now.
Mm-hmm.
Knock on wood, there's been a little bit of a lull. The zoning commission, I will report, received a affordable housing application for a 12-acre parcel plus or minus on Grassy Hill. I'm sorry, Holmes Road.
Where is that?
It's
Holmes Road?
far into town. If you
Hmm.
look at the map, it's the furthest road north, just above the pink SUE area. There's a 12-acre parcel kind of on the south side of Holmes Road to the east. There's another 12-acre parcel on the corner of Holmes Road and Upper Walnut Hill that was retained by private entities after the conveyance of the 350-acre open space dedication. So with that, the landowner Duval Properties has submitted the application
To zoning?
to zoning. Yeah,
How come,
it's affordable housing application.
oh, so we don't see it at all?
There's no waterways
Well, there are wetlands out there. There could be. I don't know. There could be regulated areas. I'll get the plans for review. I'll comment to zoning
there. You go.
and say, hey, I haven't seen a plan. It's split into wetlands.
Yeah.
Normally, you submit simultaneously or prior. So I'm not sure what the applicant was intending to achieve, but we'll figure it out.
Come to us first. And there's been some talk about another development, like back here, right?
On Dodge Pond, yeah.
On the Trachis property. That they have put together, that's been before the Water and Sewer Commission. They're trying to figure out if they can get allocation enough for sewerage
Oh,
and
before
water
they even, okay.
It's like 450
before they
units.
even go put any more effort into designing the plan, which I kind of understand.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we'll see where that goes. It looks like capacity is an issue.
Over near
So,
capacity.
That's a big one, yeah.
Yeah.
so if you have any
One
questions,
more kid.
concerns, you can, I'd recommend you give Ben North, our utilities engineer, a call and have a discussion with him. He can fill you in on kind of what the status is with water and sewer.
So I don't know where this comes, but parenthetically, there was some discussion in front of the committee about the ponds over in Crescent Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, cleaned out ones.
from when I drive by, they look great. And so it's nothing like a 100-year storm can't help. And there continues to be washover, from the beach area into those ponds.
Yeah, it's just a recurring
Yeah, it's just
issue.
Yeah.
It's one of those places where they probably should never have built houses, but they did. That being said, I do know that Diane McAndrews applied for a grant through the Connecticut Association of Wetland Scientists cause. The Les Muirhoff, it's one I had applied for several years ago and was awarded. It's only $1,500, but it's for remediation and mitigation of invasives. So my understanding is she's made that application. Sam's alluded before he left that they were awarded that, and I don't know if they were awarded yet because they haven't met. Cause has to meet. That's coming up. So unless there's something, maybe they said, hey, we'll throw money at it. It's just the award will come at
So
the
the
ceremony.
bad news is that in both ponds, in that Crescent Beach and the one down at the end of between Attawan and Oak Grove Beach, the pipes that connected the ocean to the pond were covered up in the last storm, both ends. And so it's just,
That's been a repeating issue too.
Yeah.
And that thing can't drain, and then this summer it will be a cesspool.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, maybe reaching out to DEP, they're the ones who put those pipes in, and see if there's a better solution. I don't know.
well, it's actually the pond between Attawan and Oak Grove Beach, somebody came in with a tractor and pushed the sand around after the storm and actually covered up the pipes in the pond end. And the people from DEP have been notified and were not happy because they had just been out there with an excavator to clean them out. So I don't know when that's gonna happen again.
Interesting.
But then there was a storm, this most recent storm was after that, and the people came in and they put a giant log along the top of the dune, and they put stones in front of that, and they put their bench with these giant cement footers on top of that, thinking that that would stabilize everything going forward.
Sand.
The ocean just blew right through there the next time out. So you've got this giant log that's supported on two ends with a gaping hole under it, and the bench is about to fall in.
Yeah.
So my wife is on the Oak Grove Beach board, and I keep telling her, I said, a 3-year moratorium, we're not doing anything on that pond. Number one, we don't own it. Number two, it doesn't matter what we do. Nature's gonna do what nature's gonna do, and we should just stay out of it, But,
Yeah, I'm not sure what the solution is other than to let nature take its course there. I think it was a gallant effort to try and bring salt water in there, and I believe it was for Phragmite control.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Could do.
But it seems to be unsuccessful because the pipes keep clogging.
There is one pipe that's always open. It's right down, it's at the end between the yacht club and the pump station on Shore Road there.
Okay.
And every time there was just a high tide, every time there's a high tide with a full moon, it floods. And the reason it floods is because the water comes through the pipe and comes back up from the inside.
From the other side.
Yeah, from the marsh side. And that flooded everything through there. So that was one of those that their salt water got on everything.
But how frequent is that? I don't think that's frequent enough. Because the Phragmites are growing like
Yeah.
wildfire down there. So
We'll see. It's because they haven't started greening up yet, but that's the second time this winter that's happened.
Okay. We'll see how it
We
turns
never
out.
no boats were floating in the marsh this time. First time we had all kinds of boats and things floating out there.
So that's all I have to report.
Okay. All right, so I think that's it. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Sam. Any
Second that.
second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.